Hello ladies and gentlemen, An Idiot Imports is sponsored by PlayAsia, and this copy of the game you're about to see probably came from them as part of their sponsorship deal, unless I very specifically say it didn't in the video. If you want to support this series, use the link in the description to go to PlayAsia and buy an item or two. It'll help me out and increase the budget I get for import games. You can also use the coupon code BLUEVITA at checkout to save a bit of money, but it won't count towards my sales if you don't use that link. Either way, thanks for your support and enjoy the show. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Lord of Apocalypse. This came out way back when the Vita launched in Japan, of all things. So this is a bit of a better late than never and a bit of an Idiot Imports at the same time, which is fun for those of you who voted for those two options in that little Twitter poll that I did. Except that this isn't for this actual video, so, you know. Oh well. So this is a hunting game, more or less. It's one of those clones that started coming out around the time that Monster Hunter started getting really popular in Japan, except, well, not really, because it'd been popular for a couple of years before that point. This is the sequel to a game called Lord of Arcana, which is actually another game that came out here on PSP, actually, but the sequel did not come out here for, well, not really that obvious reasons. I assume Lord of Arcana didn't sell that much. That's not that's the password screen. I don't have any passwords for this game. This is the options screen right here. Not that much to see, actually. You've got your sound effects and your music and your volume sliders, just in general, your text speed, your camera inversion, and your lock-on type. The lock-on type on the left is you have to hold the L button to keep the lock-on. The lock-on type on the right is you just have to press it, and it locks, literally. So, you probably want to keep it on that, because there is a fairly good reason for it. We're going to load into my game here. I'm partway through chapter 3. There's apparently 9 chapters and then an infinity chapter, which is way longer than every other chapter. And I've been playing for about 4 hours, which I think is enough for this game. It's not very complicated, I'll put it that way. I mean, considering this game came out... Actually, it's kind of funny. I went and looked this game's release date up. It came out 2 months after Dark Souls, and I remember Dark Souls coming out, so... It feels a bit weird playing this, but then again, you know, that's just a thing. So, this is your town lobby thing. Pretty much exactly what you expect, right? This game doesn't do too much very differently from your usual hunting style game. So, over here you've got the item shop and the alchemy shop where you can buy things like potions and ingredients and stuff like that. Over here you've got the blacksmith, and if we talk to him, we can... I'll go back and show off those other guys later, but for now we'll just show this guy off. So, you can see that you need certain sets of resources to make things like weapons, and down the second slot is armor. You can see that you need well, originally when I was looking at it on the Vita screen, it looked like a circular alcoholic flask. You know, like something you'd stick in your pocket and hide a bit of booze in. But now that I look at it more closely on a bigger screen, it's a moon with a star next to it. That's a monster core. And the rest is just resources you either find by killing dudes or finding them out in the world and gather points. You've got ultimate cards, which give you your ultimate spells. Now, the annoying thing I didn't realize at first is that you only get 1 copy of a monster soul once you beat a specific monster. And if you use it on your ultimate cards, you don't get the armor, which is kind of annoying. And these are orbs. I haven't actually been able to figure out how to equip orbs yet. I've bought 2, which are 10% extra HP and auto guard, but I haven't been able to figure out how to actually use them yet. These do things like increase damage with certain elements and decrease damage with certain elements and increase certain stats. You get the general idea. They're very basic little things. And of course you can come here to sell stuff as well, but I'm not going to do that because I don't really need to. The game gives you a fair amount of money. But anyway, as I was saying before, this is the alchemy shop. You can come here to purchase potions. I've got a fair few. I'm just going to buy some extra ones just to be safe, because this game can actually do a fair amount of damage to you. Oddly, you need to use earlier potion tiers to make new potions, which is a little bit of a pain in the ass, but oh well. And over here, you've got the item shop where you can buy things like materials and stuff. You can buy them and put them straight into your bank, and then you can sell them from your personal storage or your bank. We'll do that counter over there later, because that's our mission counter. Over here, here's your save crystal. The game does prompt you to save after every mission, so you only need that if you wanted to save your customization. That building in there is your temple, which no, that's not actually the temple, sorry. That's the ad hoc communication room, so we don't need to go into that. Over here is slightly interesting. We'll go have a quick look. It's the Guild Hall, and the Guild Hall is the thing that they give you to do in between the missions that sucks away some of your currency and stuff, like in Tukiden, how they made it so that you'd have to go to the tree every single time you did a mission. This is that. So you can come here to the hiring hall and you can hire on dudes. So I can hire on this lady here with her weapon, and for some reason they feel the need to tell you her blood type, her hobby, and her hometown. You do get to put these things in as your customization, but they don't do anything as far as I'm aware. But you can hire them for certain amounts of money. I've already got 2, so I don't need to go hiring anymore. Come over to this counter and you can check your allied forces, including being able to set certain people as your partner and take them along on your own missions. And you can also see what your roster is here. Come over to this lady and she'll give you the World Conquest map, which is basically you send dudes to an area, and if they are of a certain level, they'll have a certain specific percentage to complete it. So as you can see here, I've sent a level 12 member on a level 14 mission, so there's an 85% chance he'll succeed at that. I come back after this mission, and it'll tell me whether or not they succeeded, and generally, the things you'll get from this are gold and items from that particular area. I've got 4 different kinds of areas going on here because I'm on the 3rd chapter. That sounds about right. Notably, this game's map... There's another save crystal, by the way. I'm not entirely sure why there's one there, but oh well. This game's a little bit odd about its map exploration, actually. They don't open it all up from the very beginning. It's very linear, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, this down here will take you to the temple, which has a... I might as well go show it off just while we're here. This takes you to the temple, which has this over here, which is a thing that gives you certain benefits from medals. Oh, I actually have medals now. That's a little odd. I didn't actually have medals before. I guess I found a way to get some. But yeah, you use medals to buy things like all the rank 2 and rank 3 weapons of a specific type. You have ultimate cards that you can buy here instead of crafting them. And some miscellaneous resources here. I think that this is 3 random souls, judging purely by the my translation I did earlier of this. And this is put a certain amount, put a certain weapon skill up a certain amount. You do have things that you can do like recruitment missions as well. This is a new party member that you can recruit, and she'll give you a mission that you need to go do. We will actually go and do that just because it's more convenient than going to the mission desk. And over here you see that you've got 8 stone. No, there's not 8 here. There's more than 8. There's like 10 or something. These are Guardian Stones. Throughout the story, more of these will be unlocked and you beat them to unlock more stuff in the game. Just before I begin the first mission, I do want to point something out. A fair amount of this information was given to me by a guide on GameFAQs. There is a guide for Lord of Apocalypse. It's meant for the PSP version, but it will actually help out a lot for the Vita version as well. So if you want a guide for this game, you are more than welcome to go and look that up on GameFAQs, because it is a surprisingly useful guide. But anyway, here we go. The missions in this game are actually really simple. It's usually track something down and kill it, or track a certain set of items down. So we're going to go do that. This is Lord of Apocalypse, basically. You can see your 4 actions that you can do over there in the bottom right. You have your main attack chain. You have your long range ability, which is either a magic spell or a specific attack with a weapon. Like the twin axes do have a long range attack that throws them out like on a chain. And then you've got your battle art, which is a heavy attack that you can select, but it doesn't chain like say, a Dynasty Warriors attack or even like a Tukiden attack. So you end up not having much in the way of... combo variety, and you'll see shortly why that is, because there's no goddamn way that not going to throw us into combat with something eventually. In the bottom left, you can see that Bahamut meter there, that Bahamut meter is my ultimate attack, and you've also got a little prompt there that says press R for your item. Notably, you can't actually, like, tap the screen to use the ultimate spell. You have to press triangle and circle, which is a little odd. This game doesn't actually give you much in the way of tutorials. And you can see your level and your HP up in the top left there, and your... I believe that's the pulse bar. At least I think that's what it is. The game doesn't actually give you that much in the way of tutorials, as I said. You do also have the X button to both guard and evade. The thing about guarding and evading, though, is that considering how slow your weapon chains are in this game, like, actual proper guarding and evading is kind of hard to do. So it's probably better off for you to go for something along the lines of a, tanky build more than like a speed-oriented build. Like, even the weapons in the game that are speedy, like just your regular light sword, are really slow in comparison to something like Tukiden. So, and not to mention, here's your dodge. You see that tiny little dodge there? That's your dodge. No, I'm not joking. That is kind of abhorrent for a game that claims to want dodging. Remember what I said about Dark Souls coming out 2 months before this game? I feel bad for anyone who tried to play this thinking, you know, I'll do the Dark Souls thing where I dodge a lot. No, the dodge in this game is next to useless. It has next to no iframes. And it just... It puts you absolutely nowhere far enough away. But anyway, the combat in this game is fairly simple. Your light attacks don't cost you anything, but your ranged attack and your triangle attack, your weapon art, or whatever the hell it's called, they will cost you stamina, or pulse, as they call it. If your pulse fills up, you won't be able to use them anymore. It's not even like a game where if you're running out of stamina, it makes you just stand and huff in place for a bit. No, it's literally just you have to wait for the meter to go back down again, so there's no real punishment for filling up your pulse meter. Which is good, in a way, mainly because the game is, well, how do I put it? Not that engaging with the combat, I gotta say. Also, as far as I'm aware, there's no running. So, this is your maximum movement speed all the time. Right, so where do I go from here? There we go, that's what I was looking for. Thankfully, the game does alert you to when things like monsters and stuff start showing up on that minimap up in the top right there. Also, notably, there's like keys that'll appear above certain monsters' heads, and that's when you know you have to kill a specific monster to do that. Otherwise, it's just kill monsters, and if you're looking for like goods they drop from their body, eventually you'll see down the bottom left in the cam there that a little icon will pop up that's like a little bag. So you have to get a certain amount of resources. You'll see when you start gaining them. So when you kill something and get like a resource off it, you'll know that that's the thing you have to kill to move on. But anyway, as I was saying about the combat, honestly, not that great. It's very slow. It's a lot slower than games like Tukiden and even later iterations of Monster Hunter. The main attack chains are usually pretty slow. Only the fastest will resemble anything like a Monster Hunter game. And your weapon arts are super slow and need to have a lot of thought put into them. But it's not a satisfying kind of slow where everything hits with a significant amount of force. Like, the only reason I've picked this sword is because I think it's one of the best options for this, because it's odd, honestly. It's a bit odd. Like, sometimes the weapons feel good, sometimes they just feel like utter trash. I have tried all the weapons in this game, and, well, I hate to use the word gimmick, because I feel like Monster Hunter and Tukiden aren't gimmicks in the way that they do their weapons. Their weapons are inherently satisfying in the sense that either you'll feel like you're doing a lot of damage with them, or they'll have a unique sort of way about using them. Like in Tukiden, where you have the chain and sickle that lets you go flying. That is an awesome gimmick for that style of weapon, and I like using that weapon because of it. In this game, though, the weapons do not have any sort of gimmick like that whatsoever. Like, the most you'll get is like one ranged weapon, which is actually a massive pain in the ass to use. And the game doesn't actually let you try the weapons out before you actually get into the main game. You get this like one little thing where you can try out the weapons in a square and triangle combo, But unfortunately, in this game, it doesn't really provide a suitable reference to what you'll actually be doing with the weapons. So you end up having to go into the individual missions trying with the stock weapons that you have, which is annoying because the way this game works is weapons level up individually. So you end up in a position where you will be playing the game and you'll level a weapon up to level 2 and you'll unlock its next battle art, which might actually be stronger. Like this battle art I'm using here, which is me raising my weapon above my head and bringing it down for massive damage. This is actually an ability that I unlocked because the game doesn't do that for you. And there are a couple of other attacks that I haven't been using very much because they're kind of hard to get the timing down right for. Like there's the ability to counter-attack with some weapons. There's the ability to do a stab attack while the enemies are on the ground, but it's kind of restrictive as to what weapons work with what, so you end up with a not very satisfying set of weapons, I have to say. Anyway, we've just unlocked a boss fight, because you can see up in the top right minimap there that all the gates have been unlocked. They were previously one way, and there is a marker at the end there, which is the marker for a boss fight. So we're going to go do that, because I assume that's what the game wants us to do. I'll give it credit for its quest design not being confusing for people who can't understand Japanese. As long as you keep an eye on that minimap, you'll be absolutely fine. Which means that guide isn't really too much use, but then again, there are a few other things that you can do to help you out. Like, there is a big menu with, like, tutorials and stuff like that. Items, you just hit the R button to use them, and then you can select them with the D-pad and hit circle to use them with. They're anything from, like, attack and defense ups to traps you can put on the ground to healing potions. I only use the healing potions because the game hasn't been hard enough yet for me to consider using traps. So, there you go. Here's one of these gate things. These unlock teleporters. So, there'll be a teleporter way at the end there, and I can use that to get back to the very beginning once I'm done. So, we've got a major boss fight here. Notably, you don't actually fight them in these restricted caverns, which is actually kind of a nice twist. The way you actually start a fight with these things is press the L button. And you can see here that there's a little meter charging up around the outside. And once that charge is complete, it'll drop us into the battle arena. Which is actually a pretty neat little thing to do, I gotta say. So, yeah, here's two major boss monsters. So I assume that these are the things they want me to beat. So, this works about the same as regular fights. This isn't a massive boss fight, however, which is kind of annoying because I would like to show off how the game's targeting and part harvesting system works, but it appears that these guys in particular don't actually do that, so oh well. So, I might as well talk about it just while my mind's on it. The game's part harvesting system is a lot like something like Chukiden. Once you lock onto a specific part of an enemy's body, you will get either a green, blue, yellow, or red. Red is the part you hit to deal the most damage. Yellow is the part you hit to get a stun lock and therefore reveal the yellow parts for more damage. And blue will signify destructible parts that you can knock off for bonus parts. You get the general idea. It's really very basic in the grand scheme of things. And that's pretty much the entire loop of the game in a nutshell, more or less. Go and fight giant monsters, and then do it again. I'm going to use my ultimate spell because I can't be bothered staying around for this fight for too long, because these things are really annoying with how they shrink you. Anyway, this is the Bahamut spell. The two ultimate spells that I've had and tried in this game are pretty similar to each other. They just do a massive amount of damage. It might be like elemental damage for certain things, but I mean, other than that, it's not really that interesting as a thing. Nowhere near as interesting as the elemental spell, not the elemental spells, the sacrifice spells in Soul Sacrifice. So you can see how the relatively slow combat doesn't really work for it in the boss monster fights, because these monsters move around at about the same speed as a Tukiden boss, just with a little bit more downtime in the middle. And with these tiny ass dodges and really slow attack chains, it means that you don't really have that much time to actively avoid them, and so it's mainly just a sitting around and waiting for them to stand still for a while so that you can actually attack them style game. And I gotta admit, after having played like Soul Sacrifice and Tukiden and even something like Ragnarok Odyssey, like, I like this game better than Ragnarok Odyssey, but at least Ragnarok Odyssey didn't make you sit around and wait for too long. But yeah, with this game being as slow-paced as it is with the combat, it means that you end up spending a lot of time just waiting around for enemies to either A, stop moving, or B, get stun locked. Like this guy here. I'm going to use this attack because this attack does the most amount of damage. I've done like 1500 something HP damage to these dudes already, but I imagine when I get Bahamut powered up again, another one of that'll do the trick. And I did say you can block, which is true. And it does save you from a lot of damage, but considering that you need to stop moving while you're looking at the direction of the enemy that you want to block, and then you have to hold the X button, it means that you can't actively start a block while you're on the move. Like, I understand not being able to do it in the middle of attack chains, that's fine. Like, you know, publish a person for going too deep into an attack chain, sure, but not being able to start guarding while you're moving makes guarding in this game an absolute chore, and I would not recommend trying to do it. Again, just work towards either A, a tanky profile, or B, a profile that means you have a lot of health potions to use, because, seriously, you're not going to get much done if you try to block in this game. Kind of disappointing, really. And this is like the second game in this series, so I can't even imagine what Lord of Arcana was like. Apparently it didn't get reviewed very well, and if this is what the sequel turned out like, I don't even want to know what the original game was like. Let's just use a couple of the random items I have sitting around, because why not at this point? That was a defense up. Not entirely sure what that was. And I got hit before I could use the item that looked like one of the either the elemental expungers or the traps. What's this? Extra electric damage, I think? I admit I haven't done much of the translation, but there's a ton of items in this game, and I really didn't feel the need to. If the game was particularly hard, I would have, but I didn't. Because seriously, I really did wish the Google Instant Translate thing worked better than the photo translation, but the fact that they need to try and fit it all into these tiny little boxes is just annoying as hell. But anyway, wow, they're still going. Jesus, how much damage do you want me to do to them? Oh yeah, right. Bloody electric attacks in water, and yeah, we're dead. Thankfully, I have a revival statue thingy, but I'm gonna have to actually make the effort to get this girl back up, so let's do that. And of course, I immediately get hit by a lightning bolt because there's two of these things running around. God, they're worse than the electric beast in, Neo. Alright, there, you stay the fuck down while I go and get this girl back up. There is a potion that looks like it's meant to be the sort of, group heal, but when you use it, it only heals you. It's a bit weird. I gotta go over there and actually hit that thing for it to, get me back to normal, but of course I'm too far away from it, and I move slower than a wet week. This is pretty much what the game's like, folks. The actual, like, monster-to-monster combat is quite easy and relatively dull. Then you get this, which is a little bit over the top. It starts off being reasonable in, like, Chapter 1 with how long you need to spend to actually fight monsters, but then you get this shit. At least with the next quest that we'll be playing, because I'm not gonna have this be the only fucking quest we play. At least in the next quest we'll play, we'll have, like, 3 other people instead of just the one. Come on, do me a favor and hit that. And don't just... What are you doing? Stop, please. Thank you. Bitch. Oh, might want to get out of the way of that. Except that didn't really help me out that much. I need another fucking potion. Fuck's sake. Yes, I know I'm basically just wandering into it, but... the combat isn't that satisfying to begin with. Come on. Please tell me these will die soon. I do get a third use of Bahamut in a few minutes. Or seconds, kind of feels like minutes at this point. Come on, die. There we go. Now I can do this. And immediately use Bahamut. Again, for the third time. Come on, stay down this time, please. You've got to be fucking joking. Oh, they're close to dead. Good. Or at least one of them is. It's actually kind of a neat little thing they do, where if you lock onto an enemy that's close to death, it'll actually tilt the camera, which is kind of a neat way of doing a boss's health. Although I can see this being quite annoying for some players. Oh, great. Right. I can't use my long-range attack while I'm down either, so... Hey, are you gonna hit the thing or not? No, apparently she's not. No, there we go. Christ on a bike. So, you can actually customize the behavior of your dudes, your AI friends in the pause menu. The things down here apply to every AI as far as I can tell. The default mode is just a balanced approach. The second one is a heavy attack mode, and the second one is a stay on the defensive mode. And there's another thing down there, but I'm not entirely sure what it says. Status and all that. It's nothing really that important. It's just all your typical mission stuff. But yeah, the AI in this game ain't that great. It does do a lot of standing around for some reason, which is really annoying in the grand scheme of things. Ow. What the hell is it doing? There we go. Now let's beat the crap out of this one since it's nearly dead. And we get to do a finishing blow, which is a fancy little God of War style cutscene. Sometimes these have QTEs, mainly for the really big monsters, but otherwise they usually just are quite boring and dull and don't really do that much for me, I gotta say. And I leveled up. What does leveling up do? Give you a little bit more health, a few more stats. That's pretty much it. Come on, please die. Please die at some point. Ow. Don't just stand there. Help me. Seriously, AI is just retarded sometimes in this game. I'm just doing as much damage as I can so I can bring out another Bahamut. It'll probably kill it, but... I do not hold too much hope in that. Oh, yep, there we go. It's nearly dead. Another Bahamut will do it. I just need to earn the bloody thing. There we go. Now I throw it out, and it should die. And I'll skip it again, because it's nowhere near as impressive. There we go. I overkilled it. Thank Christ. And I get its core, which is actually pretty nice, because it might make it a little bit easier to get a certain set of weapons. But yeah, that was one quest. Imagine that a few times over every time you hop into the game. No, I'm not kidding. It really is that dull sometimes. Sometimes it's okay, but I mean, it's just so thoroughly average. Alright, here's the thing you need to know about this quest screen here. Always select the bottom option, because it stores everything. Right, I leveled up, so that means I get a new, I leveled up my big sword skill, so that means I get a new, battle art for it. Yes, I will save the game. Alright, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go and jump cut real quick, so I know what mission I can play that will have one of the bigger monsters to fight, just for the purpose of demonstrating how it works. So, yeah. Alright, that's just, do you want to take along this girl as a party member? Alright, be right back. Okay, so it says something about Quest 3-5. I don't know exactly what quest that will be, but we will go and have a look anyway. So, that's the wrong way. I gotta go the other way to get out of the temple. Let's go and have a look at all the other menus, because that's exactly what we do on this bloody channel. So you saw how the crafting system worked more or less. Get items and stuff from gather points, monsters and stuff, and use that to buy the stuff. Let's go show you how it all works as equipment. So we talk to this guy here, and the first menu is your bank. This is where you can go to look at stuff that's in your bag and in your bank, and then you can also come here to sell it more conveniently. Your second menu is your equipment menu. You've got your weapon here, and there's your different kinds of weapons. I have tried them all, and the axes, the big sword, I should say, is my favorite. The axe isn't too bad, but it's really fucking slow. The spear is okay, but doesn't have much to it. Same with the twin axes. The twin blade there is a piece of shit, and the sword there is boring, and that little mace there is like a magic mace. That's probably my second favorite weapon in this game. But as you can see, if I actually equip it, I'm going to lose so much of my attacks, so I don't want to go doing that. Down here is your ultimate card. There's the Bahamut card, as far as I'm aware. I think that's the Bahamut anyway. And that is the, I don't remember what that's called, sorry. Here's your battle arts. As you can see, I've got 3 battle arts, one I literally just unlocked. I'm going to equip it just for the purpose of demonstration. And this is where you come to change the element of your weaponry, and you do actually have to come and do this if you want elemental bonuses, which is actually really annoying. And here you can come to equip orbs, but as I said, I haven't figured out how to equip them yet. There are pieces of armor that have this piece of equipment can't be equipped with an orb. That's what that line says there. And then you've got this one that says, I think it's a pre-equipped bonus, but I'm not 100% sure on that. You can see on the right side there that it gives you a little bit of a bonus. I think that's wind damage down, like incoming wind damage. And this is, I believe that this is, yeah, equipment saving. The third option is your bestiary, your tutorials, and your story cutscenes. So I'm going to show just a random one, just to show you what the 3D well, some of them aren't even pre-rendered. Some are, some aren't. It's a little odd. But at least you'll get to see what some of the cutscenes look like. This is, for example, the intro to one of the Guardian Beasts that you have to fight as one of the main boss fights. Yeah, his arms are the parts you can chop off, but none of the rest of him, annoyingly enough. Notably, when you back out from this menu, it actually throws in a really long loading time for what you would expect. It's kind of weird. Wait for it. There you go. The fourth option is appearance customization. You can change your hair color and your hair. You might have also noticed that there was a really fucking annoying voice. I like picking the most annoying voices, but even the most annoying voice in this game grates on me. Oh, I made a big mistake picking that voice, I must say. But anyway, mission desk, quest, thing, whatever. Yes! So, this is kind of annoying. It does have things like emergency quests, but mainly you have things like story quests going on here. And that's like pretty much it. There isn't really much to it. I just gotta... So yeah, it's not really particularly obvious as to what this is, actually. You know what? I'm going to translate this with my tablet. I just need to go get it, so that'll be another jump cut, just to be safe. Okay, I'm back. So, that indeed was Kill the Griffin, but what I want to do is I actually want to play this quest here, because this is the name for Bahamut, and I know Bahamut is one of the huge-ass monsters. But I've realized that I've forgotten to actually go and check the guild hall. So we're gonna go do that just before we go and play that quest, just so you can see what this is like. So let's go talk to Booby Lady right here. In fact, there are a lot of Booby Ladies in this game, but anyway. Okay, one failed, one succeeded on like 75% chances. That's really annoying, actually. I can't remember if that's send them out again or... no, I don't want to do that, but I do want to do this, and I do want to try and, right, better idea. Take this guy off this, because he's no longer that useful there. and send him along on this quest for the 100%. And as you can see, your mercs do level up and they do bring you back useful items and stuff here, so, you know, at least that is actually relatively useful to you. So let's go and fight a Bahamut. Not really that much else to do, really. So we talked to... It's the same booby lady, actually. It's a little odd. But okay, we'll go and fight this bastard. I do like that you got the little loading screen thing there, but it only lasts for a few seconds. So, yeah, okay, here we go. So you can see the little key icon in the top there. That's where we have to go. But we do have things that we can stick around and fight first, which I'm going to do just so you can see a little bit more gameplay in this silly game. My question is, though, if I can avoid getting hit by a fucking lightning strike, what does my new weapon art do? I have no fucking clue. Oh, it's just a different kind of slamming your sword into the ground, okay. The guide does actually contain, what all the weapons arts are and what they do and which ones he would personally recommend, which is nice if you want to put in the effort. It's just annoying though, because again, you don't get that diversity of what you can equip to your weapon until you've already put a fair amount of effort to grind the weapons out. At least with... Did I just knock my own dude into the air? Fuck me. Oh yeah, by the way, that is actual lava that will hurt you, so don't step on that. And try to avoid getting knocked into it by these giant assholes. And try to avoid getting hit by gigantic bolts of lava. And lightning. And whatever. Yeah, okay, so it's a 3-stage charge thing. And by the way, here's what the fire spell looks like. You saw the lightning, it just comes down from the sky, but that's fire. Which has absolutely no effect on this enemy because it's in the middle of a fucking volcano. So, you know, go me! What else is there to talk about? Performance. Performance is fine, for the most part. I think it's a 30 FPS capped game, and it's pretty stable for 30 FPS. So I'm not going to give it too much shit for it. It also looks okay, but the environments are obviously a PSP port, because this game did also come out on the PSP, so that's kind of annoying. Also, there are a couple of other annoying things, like you can see the camera works in preset height values, which is slightly annoying, but like that's kind of nitpicky, so I'm not gonna complain too much about it. There's also, there was something else, like, oh yeah, I already mentioned the fact that the game touchscreen doesn't work too well, considering you could use it for something. Like, at least Ragnarok Odyssey put in the effort for doing neat stuff with their touchscreen integration, but other than that, yeah. Only ad hoc multiplayer, as I said previously, which is kind of disappointing. It'd be nice to play a game like this online, you know, Ragnarok Odyssey does beat it out in that sense. And comparing this game to Ragnarok Odyssey, that's not a very good thing, I've got to say. But anyway, here's the thing that we need to lock onto. Notably, you actually have to hold the lock on, and there are some points in the game, in major boss fights I should say, where it will fuck you if you fail the lock on. Like, in big boss fights, if you knock them down and keep the lock on for a certain amount of time, you'll get an extra set of resources that you can use. But anyway, here's the Bahamut. There's all your different lock-on points. Red for extra damage, blue for the breakable parts. We need to try and beat the crap out of the breakable parts. Because the breakable parts do actually make new red parts show up, so it's not completely worthless to go after them. Ouch. But yeah, you get the general idea. I don't mean to be extremely negative on Lord of Apocalypse, because, I mean, it's not my thing, really. I'm not a fan of the really slow combat style and the fact that you can't really get out of the way of anything if you even remotely start an attack chain. But, I mean, if you like the sort of slower games where there's a little bit more danger to them, that's fine. I just don't think it works very well in this context. I'm gonna make my guys go on the all-out attack just to make this go a bit faster. At least I think that's the all-out attack option. I might be misremembering this, but I know that it's there. So we'll wait and see what it's like. But yeah, I don't think it works very well in this context, because it kind of feels like it's trying to be God Eater. I think that, yeah, God Eater and Ragnarok Odyssey, those are the two games I think of the most when I'm playing this game. I don't think I'm Monster Hunter. So playing this game, just the general overall feeling, just makes me feel like I'm trying to play one of those games, but I'm not. I'm playing this instead. I'm playing a relatively slow game. It's just odd to me, personally. I admit that I'm not a very big fan of it. I don't like it very much. I don't think it's a particularly great game. It'll do the trick, but at the same time, we have two God Eater games, Soul Sacrifice, Tukiden, and a Monster Hunter PSP game. And this game doesn't really stack up well to any of them, if you want me to be perfectly honest. The monster designs are at least kind of interesting, and the visual flair is alright for a launch era PS Vita title, but I admit that I don't really think anything about this game stands out. I don't think the combat is particularly interesting. It's going to be weird using Bahamut on Bahamut, but we're going to do it anyway. There's not that much in the way of... Yeah, did you see Chance Lost on the screen there? That was the prompt to get my lock on, but the problem is if you use your ultimate spell, you lose your lock on. So you end up in the weird position where you can't use your ultimate spell if the enemy is relatively close to being at the point where you can get a bunch of bonuses out of them, because it's just going to end up failing you once you pop out of the spell. It's weird. I don't know why they've done it that way. But yeah, there's just nothing that really stands out about Lord of Apocalypse in comparison to pretty much any other game of this type that I've played. Soul Sacrifice had an amazing theme and a neat set of mechanics. Tukiden played really well and had the weapons with all their gimmicks and a ton of different types of boss fight. Mainly because, you know, they already had a lot of boss fights to begin with. But then they had bloody Kiwami and 2 to add even more stuff on top of that, which was pretty awesome. Even like God Eater. God Eater had at least a little bit more variety with like being able to craft your bullets, and your weapons had a little bit more to them than a simple attack chain and one super move. This game just doesn't really bring anything that interesting to the table other than being kind of cool looking. Sometimes. Oh, the camera's gone tilted. That means it's close to death, which is actually surprisingly fast, but oh well, I'll take it. You've seen a part come off, you've seen him go into rage mode, you've seen what the big boss fights in this game are like. You've seen pretty much everything this game has to offer. And while it's not a horrible game, as I said, it's not particularly great. It kind of feels at odds with itself, and the slow combat combined with the fast enemies just feels a bit odd. And while it's not something I would say I absolutely hate, God of War style quick time event, by the way, while I don't absolutely hate it, I don't particularly like it either, and I find no particular reason to go back to it when I've got so many other hunting games that I could be playing. Well, I failed one quick time event there, but it lets me just go through and do it again because it's surprisingly simple. But yeah, that's it. It's done. And I lost 2 of my party members during that, which is a little odd, I must say. But then again, that's what happens when you put them on all-out attack. They go in with no regards for, like, their health whatsoever, which I gotta say is surprisingly annoying. But yeah. That was a look at Lord of Apocalypse. You have a lot better to play at this point, I gotta say. So, I wouldn't recommend it unless you can get it, like, stupid cheap. because I don't think that this is worth much more outside of that. Tiny amount of XP there. Save the game, and we get put back into town to do it yet again. I guess the question is, would this game would have been worth anything back when the Vita came out? Because back when the Vita came out, there were no hunting games. There was no Ragnarok Odyssey, there was no Soul Sacrifice, there was no Tukiden, there was like Monster Hunter on the PSP. That was pretty much it. And like even then, Monster Hunter on the PSP is a fair bit better than this. At least with that game, things feel a little bit better paced, so that when the monsters start to get fast, at least you've got a general idea of what you're doing in comparison to this game where monsters can outspeed you from the very beginning. It's a bit odd. But yeah, that's all. I'm not going to stand around ranting for too long. So this has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.